You wake up, you crack an egg into a pan. You've done this 1,000 times. But here's a question you've probably never asked. Where did the male version of that egg go? Because for every hen laying eggs in a barn somewhere, there was a brother, a rooster, and he never made it to your plate. He never made it anywhere at all. Most people assume roosters just become chicken, like any other bird. Same species, same meat, same fate. But that's not quite right. In the egg industry, male chicks are killed within hours of hatching. Not raised, not fattened, not sold. Killed on their first day alive. Millions of them, every single day around the world. This is called culling. And once you understand why it happens, you'll never look at a carton of eggs the same way again. Because the answer isn't really about chickens. It's about how we've engineered life itself to fit a spreadsheet. Stay till the end. The last part will change how you think about every egg you've ever eaten. So let's start with the basics. Chickens split into two totally different industries. One industry raises birds for meat. Those are called broilers, thick chests, fast growth, ready to slaughter in about 6 weeks. The other industry raises birds for eggs. Those are called layers. Skinny, small-bodied, built to lay an egg almost every single day for 2 years straight. Here's the twist. These are not the same chicken. Over the last 100 years, humans selectively bred two completely separate lines. One line got optimized purely for muscle. The other got optimized purely for egg output. And that split changed everything. Because a male layer chicken is useless to both industries. He can't lay eggs, obviously, but he also can't grow meat efficiently. His body was never bred for that. He grows slow. He stays skinny. He'd cost more to raise than his meat would ever be worth. So the moment he hatches, he's already a financial loss. Imagine you're a hatchery worker. Thousands of fluffy yellow chicks pour down a conveyor belt every hour. You have seconds to sort each one, male or female. That's it. That's the whole decision that decides whether a chick lives a life or ends in the next few minutes. How do they even tell them apart that fast? This is where it gets strange. Workers use something called vent sexing, checking a chick's tiny genital opening under bright light, a skill so specialized it takes months to master. Some breeds make it easier. Certain hybrid chickens hatch with color differences between males and females so a worker can sort them in a single glance. Either way, the sorting happens almost instantly, and the outcome is final. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't some hidden industry secret. It's just standard practice. It's been standard practice since the 1930s, when hatcheries first figured out how to separate layers from broilers at scale. Before that, farms kept general-purpose chickens, slower growing, fewer eggs, but at least every chick had a use. Efficiency is what created this problem in the first place. So what happens to the male chicks? In most of the world, they're killed using one of two methods. Maceration, meaning fast-spinning blades that are considered instant, or gassing with carbon dioxide. Neither method is designed for spectacle. Both are designed for speed, because a hatchery processes thousands of birds an hour, and every second matters. And it might be the strangest part of all. Some of these culled chicks don't just disappear. They become feed, ground up and used to nourish reptiles in zoos, raptors in rehabilitation centers, or other farmed animals. The male chicken's only economic value in the end is as food for something else. But that's only half the story, because right now in 2026 this is actually changing fast. So what killed the old system? Technology did. Scientists developed something called in ovo sexing. That means determining a chick's sex before it even hatches, while it's still inside the egg. Some methods analyze a tiny sample of fluid from the egg for hormone markers. Others use spectroscopy, essentially shining light through the shell to read chemical signals. A few use AI-powered cameras to spot subtle differences in early embryo development. Here's why that number matters. If you can determine sex on day 9 of incubation, before pain receptors even develop in the embryo, you can remove the male eggs entirely from the process. No live chick, no culling decision, just an egg that's redirected before it ever becomes a bird. Germany and France actually banned chick culling outright back in 2022, legally required hatcheries to switch to in ovo sexing instead. Other countries are watching closely, weighing the cost of new scanning technology against decades of standard practice. Compare that to your own life for a second. You've probably never thought about the fact that an egg carton represents a decision made about a bird before it ever grew feathers, before it ever opened its eyes. That decision happened in a hatchery you'll never see, using methods you never had to know existed so that your breakfast could stay cheap and consistent. But then science confirmed what critics had been saying for years, that this system, however efficient, was built entirely around ignoring half of every generation. 50% of all layer chicks worldwide born with no possible role in the system that created them, not because they were defective, not because anything went wrong, simply because they were male. Think about that number for a second. Billions of animals a year across the entire planet exist for mere hours, not because nature made a mistake, but because we built an industry that made their existence mathematically pointless the moment they hatched. And here's the self-implicating part. This isn't really a story about chickens at all. It's a story about what happens when humans optimize a living system for one single output, eggs in this case. Once you strip a species down to a single purpose, anything that doesn't serve that purpose becomes waste, not evil, not cruel in the eyes of the system, just inefficient. And inefficiency gets removed. That's not unique to chickens. It's the quiet logic behind a lot of the systems you live inside every day. Systems built for output, not for the full picture of what they contain. So next time you crack an egg, you're not just making breakfast, you're looking at the surviving half of a decision made in a hatchery days before that egg was even laid, a decision about a bird you'll never meet and a bird that never got the chance to exist past its first morning. The hens got to live because they were useful, their brothers didn't get a vote, and for nearly a century, most of us never even knew there was a decision being made at all.